All right, this happened in Arizona just a few days ago. This is on 9/15 to 9/19. 2015. All right, so it happened yesterday. Now, I thought for sure, I said, oh, this is just one of those rockets coming back to space. Didn't work out. But no, watch below. Watch below. Now, all of us, see this? You see how brightly that spot is up there? There's a bright, bright spot. You don't get that kind of brightness without intense photons, intense radiation is coming out. Now, look down here. It's starting down here, too. It's blowing through these crowds. Now you watch. He's not going low, or she, whoever's taking it. I was hoping they would go low, and they did eventually. But watch out here. Ah, there we go. Now you see that it's coming from below, and it's igniting whatever particles are there. Either they're water vapor or actual particles. Now, watch what happens. This is going all the way to the Earth, and he doesn't realize, or she, whoever taken it. And you see how bright that spot is down at the bottom? You see that? Now look, it's already here too. So it's wherever there's molecules in the air, they're glowing because they're being excited by a photon pulse. There's just no other explanation. Now, all the way from straight down to the Earth, wherever that came from, if you could triangulate or figure out where it came from, you would figure this out. And you see this? That glow is excitation. You see down there excitation? Everywhere that it's hitting anything that has anything to do with anything. Now, this, I believe, is the kind of sinkhole that is slowly collapsing onto itself. Look, it's still lighting up these areas, and it's still burning these areas. It's still emitting enormous amounts of photon radiation, and it excites whatever molecules it hits. It's just, there's no other way to explain it. and it makes 100% total sense. And they just kept watching, and they kept doing this, and eventually I guess it faded out. Let's go way out to the end here and see what he's got. Yeah, it just eventually faded out, burnt itself out, and that's just the way it's going to work. Now, the event that's coming up, I'm going to show you, just happened in September 15th, I believe it was, of 2015, in Arizona, near Snowflake, Arizona, I believe. Now, this goes back to 2010, sinkhole surrounding Sedona. They're all over the place. There are many sinkholes here, okay, so remember that. And once again, there's two theories of the collapse. Well, there's tons of different theories of the collapse, but the collapse I'm thinking about is either a spontaneous, complete, catastrophic collapse where it just drops as hard as it can drop, and that would create these intense beams of light, and I'll show you that in a second. Or you could have a slow, wiggly drop, and at that you would get this same deal, but it wouldn't quite be as intense. All right, this is on a sinkhole fiery collapse. Now watch this. You see that little flag down there? It's waving in the air. Right next to it, a sinkhole just collapsed. And that's why that flag is waving. And now the gases have ignited. Now this mountain is exploding over here. It's a volcano. But this is a sinkhole collapsing. And as it goes through this video, you'll see there's other ones up here. And then this was 4 or 5 years ago. Now, and this thing just it totally collapsed, the whole mountain, a couple of weeks ago, in 2015, here in the summer of 2015. Now this goes back to, I think, 2011 when this happened. But you see this intense glow. That glow is not the glow of a little campfire. And if you come out here, it's burning all of the combustibles underneath here, which are the hydrogens and methanes, which are the natural process of organic decomposition. It's exactly what happens. And there's no dispute about that. There's nothing here that's not understood. Now, watch what happens here. These shock forces, they'll be shooting all over the place. You'll see them every now and then. They'll go woof, 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 back and forth. Look, watch. You don't see them here, but every now and then they go. It's just, there it goes. See one to go shoot out the side? They go back and forth. Very, very unusual. But that is also a product of the shock. Now, as this thing collapses completely, you see here's another one up here, there's one here, they're all over the place. But these are the ones that are collapsing. And as it collapses into itself, watch this, boom, there's a photon pulse. That's what happens, and that's what we're seeing in outer space. All right. By the way, if you want to learn about the special explosive nature of hydrogen, go to this site here. It's hyperphysics.phy-astr.gsu.edu, and it's an excellent site. There's a ton of stuff about hydrogen, about how explosive it is, all kinds of things about its energy levels and electronic transitions and so forth. But the bottom line is that it is explosive as hell. And hydrogen is the most explosive of anything there is. And the reason is really what it boils down to is that an electron is spinning at 186,000 miles a second around around a proton, and its angular momentum at that speed, at that tiny diameter spinning, is just unbelievable amount of energy produced because of the spin, and those are what's creating this, and they have no place to go either. Where they're all together and they're crushed together, and once you shock one, you start a cascade of events that you just can't stop. All right, now here's my take on the China factory explosion. There's a little fire here, and these kids are hanging around, they're having a good time, and they're watching this and saying, wow, look at the fire. Well, then there's going to be an explosion. And my take is that the first explosion could be chemicals, could be the initial start of the collapse, because it was pretty good size. And when you see it, you're going to say, whatever was left there is gone. There is nothing there, can't be there. But you watch what still comes out of that hole. And then you watch what happens after the total collapse. Here we go. So now they're watching, they're thinking, wow, this is a little fire, and boy, isn't that something? And then all of a sudden they're going to get a blast that's going to scare the hell out of them. And it is scary. Now, see, the fire's not doing too much. Now, what's going to happen is the sinkhole is going to let go to some degree. There it goes. Watch this. Boom! Now, they're thinking, wow, look at that. Now, look at what's going up in the air. This is an enormous blast of gases. Look at the white is inside there. This is an enormous, and look at how intently hot that is right now. That is the hydrogen. That's hydrogen. Now, the plug is starting to release. It's seeping around the edges of the plug. The plug is going down. There should be no more chemicals left around here. That's burning so hot, there's nothing left there. Now, boom, now it goes, and look at this baby. And that's when it tore the whole place to shreds. And there was a photon pulse that went straight up into outer space at that point. And this is how it was seen from outer space. And then the crater, oh, look at this. This is the methane rings that are showing up all over the world. And this is Lake Baikal. And these are the digesters. They're seeping, here, hold on a second. They're seeping the methane from the circular biodigesters. We've seen what sinkholes look like. And when the methane hits the surface at the top, it's sort of creating a little circular bubble depending upon the quantity that's being emitted from that particular sinkhole. Now, you see, they form these kind of patterns, and that is the pattern of life. The Earth is alive. This is not just something that... The Earth is literally alive. People don't believe this. They just don't believe it. But I have more evidence to support this. And this is the process that the Earth breaks down the volatile organic compounds and ends up with methanes and hydrocarbons and all that business. But that's supposed to go deep into the Earth. That's not supposed to be coming back up. And they're coming up because the Earth is in trouble. Anyway,